Hello, I'm Jane Turner from writewithjane.com, and I'm blessed to be talking to Jo Worthy this morning, who has written more than one book and has a lot going on at the moment. It's going to be a very busy beginning of the year for you, Jo. I'd love to start with your first book that you wrote and then take it from there about the other writing projects that you have going on at any given time.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you. And it's an honour to actually be with you today and speak with you. Yes, I've got a lot happening. And yes, my first book is Loveworthy. This one here, 21 Lessons in Creating a Deliciously Divine Life. This is my heart and soul that went into this book. It did take 4 years to write, and it was published in 2020. So I have to remind myself, it's like, oh my goodness, it was 3 years ago.
Time goes fast, doesn't it?
And I've been very busy since, like, this was the start of a lot of things. Writing this book was a lot of things have happened since then, and just also the creativity that opened up, and just this beautiful channel, and my joy, all that joy of, being in that creative bubble, sort of really this book was a catalyst for so many other juicy projects in the last 3 years. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Incredible.
Yes. And look, tell me, what was the motivation for writing the book in the beginning, Jo?
Oh, you know what? I think my life's been a bit like a soap opera. And a lot of people used to say, and I know that you've probably heard your clients say this too, and it's maybe fairly common. Oh, you should write a book one day.
Oh, yes.
And oh yeah, maybe one day. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's probably more like a film script or a soap opera script. And then I think when people used to say that, I think it was sort of, it was sort of buried at the time. Oh yeah, maybe one day, and then I'd dismiss it. But when I went to Bali, now Bali is my spiritual and creative haven. In 2016, I went there and had a, it sounds like a bit like an eat, pray, love moment, but I had this spiritual and creative awakening, and I actually started just writing. I was like, no structure, completely no structure, completely in my feminine energy, and I just wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and that just opened up this, like I said, this channel of just this huge creativity and this joy. And I just started writing about my life, and I got a book coach, and she helped me structure it. And it became not just a memoir, it became actually a self-help guide as well. It's quite an extensive book. I mean, like, I don't do things by half, Jane. It's, 4 years in the making and about 50,000 million edits. Well, it seemed like that. I think I'm also a little bit dyslexic as well. So there were a lot of different edits, and I overwrote. I had to sort of cull it right back. So there were lots of it. There was lots of editing, but yeah, that 2016 was that pivotal moment that I realized how creative I really was and how much I loved writing, because I used to write as a child, and then became a teenager, and then young adult, and even into my 40s, even into my, I was like in my 50s when I started writing this book. I'm 58 now, but I realized how creative I was as a child, and I put that all on the back burner, as we do a lot of the time with things that bring us joy, and creativity brings us so much joy. And to put it on hold for so long and then just have this huge awakening in Bali, that's where it all started, to the start of this book.
How good is that? And I mean, you followed your own process. You followed your
Yeah.
intuition. You were open enough to be able to do that. And bless you for being able to do that. A lot of people can't. And, for those people, it can be a struggle. But
Yeah.
one of the benefits then from being on the other side with having that struggle initially is that it doesn't then become such a big editing job where there's so many words and so many important words as well, being
Yeah.
able to sift out what's important and how the message needs to land and what have you. But that's where editors come in, and they are priceless advocates, for want of a better word. They can usher us through that potential overwhelm. And 4 years is interesting. I often talk to people, it's 5 years, 4 years, You know,
Oh,
the first book can often be that we're actually having to become the person we need to become in
yes.
the
Yes.
process. So it's not
Oh,
so much the
yes.
book, but it's the whole transformation involved. And I love, you said, the catalyst of so many other things coming out of this.
Oh, absolutely. It was just this beautiful flow on because then they created 2 online programs. The interesting thing was I did 4 book launches. I'm telling you, I don't do things by halves. I did one in Canberra, one in Melbourne, a small one in Sydney, and then one in Brisbane. And I do love a good party, even though in many ways I'm introverted. I still like, I do like celebration. So I had 4 book launches, which the last one, when I got back from Sydney, actually, then the lockdowns happened in 2020, in March 2020. And then I actually created the online program. I called it a book club to begin with, but it was so much more. Then I ended up changing it to the Loveworthy program, online program, Becoming Loveworthy. And I went through 21 of the lessons in here. And the women, I think, apart from the fact that a lot of my clients were in Melbourne at the time, and we know what happened to Melbourne, or we know what happened to Victoria, so many lockdowns, that being online weekly in such a beautiful group and talking about like deep, this is like a personal development. This is my life story. So the lessons in it are very much, you know, a big story, but also the personal development behind as to what I did, the techniques and the principles behind becoming loveworthy. So it's very heartfelt and we all became very connected to this lovely little community. And the women actually were so look forward to that weekly session
Oh,
and
it
to
must have been better, Joe. I think that was a godsend because not only are they getting the connection through the group, but they've got the various strategies in the book that you're talking them through in
yes.
terms of, you know, keeping themselves buoyant, for want of a better word, because yes, the people in Melbourne did it really tough.
They did do it tough, and I had a lot of my clients from there. I'm actually born and bred Melbourne girl, moved around a bit. We were talking about informally before. I went to Canberra for 10 years and now live on the Sunshine Coast, which loving it up here. It's a little hot at the moment with the humidity, but we have aircon and the beach nearby and the pool, so I can't complain. But yeah, beautiful new lifestyle. My husband and I moved 4 months ago, but it's a really busy time and very exciting time with all the other things that I've got happening as well.
And tell us all about now, because I'm looking at the beautiful poster for Worthy, Wealthy, Wise Women. You've
Yes,
got that event is coming up in March. Tell
yes,
us about it.
yeah. Thank you, Jane. So the event is coming up in March. The event is part of the movement. So I've created a movement. It's called the Worthy, Wealthy, Wise Woman. All those W's movement. And a crucial part of that movement is a yearly event. And this yearly event, which has been like 12 months in the making, let me tell you, a few twists and turns in the background, but it's actually happening in less than 6 weeks on the 11th and 12th of March on the Gold Coast at the Crown Plaza, ironically, and no coincidences, in the Phoenix Room, where we're all going to rise in our worth and our wealth and our wisdom. So very, very excited about this event. It is obviously a women-only event. It's an empowering event. I want women to come in and go, oh, thank goodness I'm here. Thank goodness I'm in the right place at the right time. And 2 days of just incredible connection. There'll be organic networking, but business wisdom, personal development, fun, music, soulful performances. Like I have put my heart and soul into everything that I do. But this project, this has been my main project for the last 12 months. So very, very excited that it's actually nearly coming to fruition.
Yes, fantastic. At the end, I'll get your details about how people can connect with you in terms of coming to that event or your online programs or whatever. But I want to go back to the online programs as well, because it's no
Yes.
coincidence that off the back of the book came an online program.
Yeah.
And I ask how closely aligned they are. did you literally make the program based on the chapters in the book, or?
Absolutely. That was my first online program. I'm writing, I'm on to my third one now that I'm writing, but the first one was completely aligned because there's 21 lessons, 21, I don't call them chapters, 21 lessons, 21 weeks, there's a program.
It's a no-brainer.
So yeah, and things like you are worthy of creativity is the very first chapter. So
Right.
we would speak all about creativity and going back to our childhood and what brought us joy, and then the next chapter or the lesson is you're worthy of being adored. But so there's the whole which was really lovely the way it all eventually ended up because it was my life story, and then I had to create the chapter names and then do the personal development part. But it actually, even though it took 4 years, it was a big project. And it's just like I look back on it, and I have to be honest, and I don't say this from an arrogant or ego perspective. I hope it doesn't come across like that. But I'm actually proud. And I think that sometimes I go back and go, did I write that? Like, did I write
You're actually proud. I think you're entitled to be proud, Jo.
I'm very proud for someone who was never proud. Like my professional, I come from a corporate background, administrative background in corporate, private and public. And I was never proud of anything that I did until I ran my own business. I ran my first retreat and event and a smaller event. And writing this book would have to be one of the proudest things I have ever done, and also creating this a big event on the Gold Coast. So, and I want more people to actually, to feel proud, particularly let's take, I work with women. I want guys to be proud too, but from a female perspective, is because I work with women, I want women to feel more proud of what they do. Because I think a lot of us get into that, oh yeah, oh that's okay, and on to the next thing without really even celebrating who we are as a woman, what we stand for, and what we're actually creating. And for me to now consciously feel very proud, I teach other women now. Part of my program is to step up, step into your courage, your confidence, and be proud of all the things that you've already achieved. And some women dismiss a lot of just, they think it's just, oh, that's nothing special. But it actually is. But, if you write a book, of course, that's a whole new level, but not everybody wants to write a book. And with the women that I work with, many do, and many I do encourage creativity, but just to be proud of all the things that they're doing. And it's not always even about an achievement or doing something. It's about being proud of who you are as a woman as well.
Absolutely. Look, I'll share something with you that'll break your heart, but it won't take you by surprise, I don't think, is that one of the authors that I interviewed recently had finished her book back in 2014 and hasn't launched it yet. Not only has she just finished writing it, it's published, it's under the bed. She has only now gained the courage to actually step up in front of the camera now and actually talk about the book, talk about being an author, not being worried about whether any of her family thinks she's big noting herself and things like that. It's those limiting beliefs. We all have them, but it's our own journey though, of course, Jo, isn't it? That I don't begrudge that lady for the years that it took her to get to this stage, but it's all in divine right timing. However, isn't it wonderful to think that she is doing it now, because there will be another 8-year gap where people aren't getting to hear about her gifts and aren't getting to experience the ripple effect of what she's done.
And that's what this movement's about. I believe that every woman is worthy, wealthy, wise, except there's parts of us that we have not owned yet. There's parts of us that we've neglected, and there's parts of us that we don't believe in.
Yes.
But we are all worthy, wealthy, and wise. And getting back to that movement, when we spoke about that particular author, it reminded me of what my whole energy and intention is behind this movement. But just to rewind, when I was about to publish this book, I won't swear, but OMFG, I went into my God. I was like, this is a very vulnerable read. This is raw and real. And all my vulnerabilities, and I'm actually reading Brené Brown's book at the moment about
That's
what I'm reading at the moment, and about shame and vulnerability and courage, because I'm all about those sort of themes. But my goodness, and it was actually her quote Brene Brown's quote, and I watched her on YouTube about vulnerability and shame and all that sort of thing. And her quote, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I don't want your feedback.
Yes.
Because I went into overwhelm thinking, oh, people are going to judge me. Oh my goodness, people won't like me or they'll judge me. And there's a lot to, like, really, there's a lot to judge in there if you want to go down that path. But then I had to step into my courage. And then I wrote my next program about it, Reclaiming Your Inner Power. And it's like, stop being a people pleaser, Jo. Not everyone's going to love my work. And not everyone's going to love me. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. And that's been a big journey for me and a lot of women that I work with and a lot of women that are going to be listening to that. People pleasing's perfectionist. It's going to stop us from sharing our brilliance. And it nearly stopped me from wanting to publish. I'm going, I don't want to publish. Oh my goodness. And getting into that overwhelm. And then it was like the beautiful Brene Brene Brown. If you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I don't want your feedback. And it's like, yeah, well, if you're not up there writing a book, or if you're not sharing your life story, and if you're not being vulnerable and basically putting in writing all these things that could have been, deemed as mistakes, but there are no mistakes, then I don't want your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually helped me step into my courage. And then it helped me write my next program.
Yes. And I'll share my favorite Brene Brown quote with you because you'll love this one as well. If we own our story, we get to write our own ending. If we don't, it owns us. That's the one that resonates with me. But I love yours. Absolutely right, though. Absolutely. We worry too much about what other people think.
Yes. And I would imagine a lot of your authors, before they hit that, if they're self-publishing or they're getting someone to do it on their behalf, but particularly if you're self-publishing and you've got to hit that publish,
yes.
or you're getting someone else to do it who's, part of your project team. And it's like, oh my God, it's going to print. And it's like, I think that we just need to surrender and trust and go back to celebrating what we've achieved and then just let it go. And the right people are going to love it.
Yep. They sure are. That's right.
And they're going to, at the very least, like it.
At the very least, appreciate that we've gone to that place. If it's an uncomfortable place, just appreciate what we've done. But
Exactly.
Jo, this has just been wonderful to hear about what you're doing. Now, if people want to know more about the event, more about your online programs, more about your coaching, what's the best place for them to go?
Well, at the moment, worthywealthywisewoman.com will give you all the details about the event. Now, it's not a complete website, but I also want to talk to you just really briefly about an amazing collaborative co-author opportunity with the beautiful Charlie Fowles, who's actually based in Brisbane, and she is the CEO of Ostrich Publishing, and she is also a book coach and a brand strategist. She's very talented, ex-educator, been a teacher, a very disruptive one, I think, very, very creative, amazing woman. So we've collaborated together to create the book with actually using the brand of the Worthy, Wealthy, Wise Woman. So her face is on the book cover, will be on the book cover, if I can get my words out, rising in worth, wealth, and wisdom, and passionate, creative women sharing their journey. So that's another, we're actually onboarding co-authors right now. So you can actually get in contact with me at admin@worthywealthywisewoman.com if you'd like to send me an email, or connect with me on Facebook, Jo Worthy.
Yep, great. Thank you, Jo. And we'll watch this space in terms of all your new projects coming up once you get through the event. No telling what you're going to do, I think.
Thank you so much, Jane. It's been great speaking with you today. Thank you.